because there are bad people out there that throw shit down your hat. So if you didn't know how a blower worked, wouldn't be a nice day trip without a trip to Rocket. We've got a filter element that we've been waiting to get for what feels like a year and a half now. This is what will go between the mechanical fuel pump and the injector hat. We weren't running an element in our filter because it was only like a 30 micron and it would have been blocking up if we'd used it. So this will be another thing that we definitely should have been running from the get-go, and will keep us from another thing to keep us from having this same issue again. Alright, I've also got a bunch of blanking plugs, literally just pretty much for all of the fittings and everything that go across the fuel system and everything, just so that in this period they're off the car and on the injector hat and everything, they can just be plugged up so that there's no shit getting in the barrel valve and whatnot. And yeah, so let's go jump out there and let's go start chucking everything on and have a look. I thought it'd be about fair time to service the Triton. It's really needed it. So one major thing that it also really needs is a catch can, because as you can see, the oil that it dumps, like this little PCV valve just here, all it does is it just fucking, like, because the crankcase breathes so much, it just pours oil into the turbo and everything, and then it filters back through the engine, and it's just gross and shitty. And so we're gonna do catch can, and we're gonna do it super sketchy like. I happen to have that one just sitting there, so I thought the idea would be perfect. But the bad thing, like, we're literally MacGyvering the shit out of this. So got the fitting just in here that's somewhat gonna work. It's shit, but it'll work. And then I've got one of these massive filter kits that comes with, so yeah, air filter, oil filter, fuel filter, and then a cabin filter too. So I'm gonna change all of those and keep this thing happy and put in some new diesel sludge. Yeah, it really does need it. I haven't serviced it in a very long time. It seems like we need to rely on this and being a tow vehicle for clickbait. It is very necessary. So I'm gonna plumb all this up. I'm literally just going to out of the engine, into this, out of that, into there. It's nothing fancy. Every couple of months or weeks or whatever, I am gonna have to pull this out and empty it. There's no fancy re-drain or anything like that. It's literally just a catch can, as basic as it comes. But I wasn't gonna spend $300 on all the kits that you can find online. So literally just went to super cheap, found the same diameter hose clamps, bada bing, bada boom, it's gonna get done. All right, let's jump into that. Whew, what a friggin' mission that was. So the fuel filter, that was a pain. Oil filter, that was a pain. They were on there so bloody tight, it was just a nightmare to get off. This is my awesome contraption. I had to get Ben's hoses because, I don't know, that's all that was really on offer. And yeah, so that's me MacGyver 5-second oil catch can. We'll check on it, see how well it works, see if it even does work over the next coming days. But yeah, that was the most annoying oil change I've ever done. And yeah, oh well, it's done now. And at first it didn't want to start. Like, it started for a split second and then died. I'm assuming the fuel filter, so I'm assuming this little plunger pushes fuel through and bleeds it or gets air out of it or something. But yeah, it must have seen low fuel pressure for a split second, because I couldn't get it to start. Checked codes, no codes, it wouldn't fire. So I literally just took the terminal off the battery, put it back on, started first kick, seems to be running mint now. And the oil that came out of that thing was just pure sludge. Like, sludge, as bad as it gets. So at least hopefully it should be a little bit healthier now. Alrighty, so these are the fuel filters that pretty much you'll see. They run from the mechanical fuel pump up to the injector hat. Now, the ones that come with them are these small bluer filters, 40 micron. So if you don't understand the concept of micron, one way to think of it is like the grit in sandpaper. So theoretically, you got your 80 grit, which is very coarse. You got your 1000 grit, which is very fine. Now, if you think about the actual weave in the material, let's say that this is your 1000 grit, which is extremely fine, which means only if this was the equivalent of 1000 grit, that means that the weave in this filter element is so tight that only fine particles can move through it. Now, you would think, and so this is what I originally thought, you would think that like methanol particles would be small. You'd never have any gunk, never anything. But one thing that I learned was you can't run anything smaller than 100 micron. So if we pull this bad boy out, with methanol, so I've heard, the minimum you should be running is 100 microns. So you can actually see, if you hold these together, you can see the massive, I don't know if you can see, if you look at that, you can see the massive difference in how fine the element is in this and how coarse the element is in this. So this is the equivalent of your 80 grit sandpaper, so bigger elements can flow through it. Believe it or not, that is what you want with these, because as you saw, methanol gunks up. That's what was clunked in that's all was coated all through our injector hat. Now, if you're wondering why am I getting this now and not a year ago, not 2 years ago, not 5 months ago? Every time I've gone on the Rocket website to try and find one of these, they've been out of stock. It just so happens that this idea popped into my head this morning. I checked on the website, they had them in stock and it said low in quantity. So what a better time to get it. Literally ran straight down there and grabbed one. I was gonna grab two, but they're washable elements. So now that we've got this back together, this can actually go into the injector hat line, and we now have a filter there. So that's one extra filter in the line. I know you are probably kicking yourself. You're probably screaming at the screen right now. I can't believe you ran it without a filter. But in my head, I just thought it's coming fresh out of a drum. It's going through a filter at the back. I didn't think it would need another one massively. I thought people were just being extra careful, which you need to be. You need to be extra careful. You have to be. So that's just one more thing that can be a part of the whole system now. I will keep this one as a spare just in case, but now we have a 100 micron filter for the line into the injector hat, so that should do amazing things now. Alrighty, so it is now the next day. Decided to come back. There's more stuff that I can do to the wagon. Obviously, engine bay is pretty cleared. Looks pretty messy with all the wiring and stuff. I just got to pretty much just tape all the wiring together, get it out of the way. Then I'll start prepping the bay and everything. I don't want to exactly do a flat firewall, but maybe from like here, because we can just paint all this and it'll look all right. But maybe here, following all around the tunnel, and then over like to the steering column where you see that plate is that I had to tech screw in to get through the scrutineering at Summernats. Just do one little plate, just follow along here. I'm gonna trim this, like grind this back. I'll cut this off, but pretty much just flat wall it across there, just so it looks a little neater and fills in all the other little holes that may be around. But and then I'll cut this whole bracket from the ABS off. That's the terminal post for, I think, like the positive for when you're jump starting the car. Just the little things that we can neaten up for paint. Yeah, what I'm doing today is I'm going to pull the injector hat off the blower because if you can see, I'll have to wait until it's open, until it's off. But I'll show you what's going on with the way that this is blocked off, how we're going to repair it and block off even more. And yeah, but it's a bit hard when it's like this. And because this injector hat is meant to fit on a big boy blower, and this is only a 671, you see this overhang just here? This bolt should be back here. So this just here is a spacer plate that we pretty much made so it could bolt together. We did that at APM, but then we didn't have a gasket for it and we obviously didn't want to wait. So the day of the engine dyno, Aaron just siliconed it on. And I tried to get it off the other day, and it is really freaking siliconed on there. I could not get it off. So I've got some trusty fishing line with me today, and I'm just gonna try and cut my way through it. So I'm just gonna get straight into that. All right, so we finally got the hat off. Luckily Lincoln came up and saved the day, and we pretty much he just ran a razor around. We ended up breaking it to freaking get there though, but just got a razor around, so definitely no questions about the silicon bloody holding it. But we never ended up running this, which is a must, because there are bad people out there that throw shit down your hat, jealous people, angry people. And the thing is when we went to go put it on, just before we started the runs on the dyno, it didn't bolt up. So we're like, ah, shit. And we were like, fuck, we don't want to have to wait and try and get another one. So Aaron just siliconed it on. But what we should be able to do now is if we put that on the back bolts there, and then it lines up with the front bolts of this spacer that APM made, we should be able to take the spacer off and run this under that. Should be able to. Either way, I'm going to do it now so that we never have to worry about shit falling into the blower. And I'll inspect and go through and make sure there's nothing, because there's a tiny bit of silicone. I almost need to vacuum it. But luckily it looks really good in here. There's not even any wear on anything. Still rolls really smooth, but everything looks really good in there, so that's awesome. Beautiful. So if you didn't know how a blower worked, you pretty much got these two rotors that sit together, and as it spins, it literally just compresses air the same as a turbo or anything. It just shoves it into the engine. And it still feels really good. So I'm gonna pull this plate off, see if it'll fit, because it should. And then I've also got repairs to do to the hat and change. Now I'll run it past Aaron again, because there could very well be a reason why he didn't want to run it this way. He could have thought that fuel could pool up with the way that it's designed or something. I'm not sure, so I'll still run it by him before we actually make this the final thing. But at least for now, especially while the blower's in storage, now it means nothing can fall in there. And I was always so paranoid about when I was like cleaning anything or doing anything around the butterflies of the injector hat, because if anything falls in, it's going straight to those rotors and then straight in the engine. So at least now that we got this, there's one extra layer of defense. I can already tell Tim will be watching this being like, fuck yes, cunt, finally. He's been telling me to put it on for months, but we knew getting the hat off was going to be a nightmare. But since it had to come off anyway so I could repair it, perfect time. All right, so this thing is an absolute pain to work on when you try to put it anywhere, because it's all front heavy, it's tall, the thing is massive. So I just chucked it back on the blower, one bolt in so it's not going anywhere. I'll take all the butterflies out. I may even undo the top bolts just here and take the entire faceplate out so I can show you what is going on inside the neck of the injector hat. Alrighty, it's probably going to be grainy as shit, but we'll try our best to see it. So if you can see, here is all four butterflies. Now, if you can judge by the light, the outside two are blocked off. So the outside two have these carbon walls that travel all the way down here and just go straight off to this edge of the wall here. So you can see that pretty much goes straight down, straight to my phone light down there. Now, the issue that we've been having forever is the sealing of them, I really need another light, is the sealing of them just here. And you can see actually, yeah, this one's completely broken now. Hang on, I'll try and find another light. All right, so I don't know if that's any better, but look, you can see this whole side is coming apart. So it's just blown apart from the seam. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut away from here, take this entire piece, and then use this piece that came from Composite Specialties. So this centerpiece in here, that actually came in the hat from Composite Specialties. And I'm gonna block off the middle one so that this is the only butterfly that actually gets air now. So that should actually, what that's gonna mean in relative terms is we're gonna gain a shitload more of throttle control, try to keep it off limiter even more, just make the car a whole lot more drivable. So the easiest way to think about it is, if you think about a standard LS, this is the throttle body. You've got a ring about this big, and it's just here, sucks in air. This is like an aftermarket over-the-air radiator, OTR, and it sucks in the air straight into there, and that's all the engine uses. This LS is technically on paper bigger than the LS that was in here. So if you can think about it, if one of these is still pretty much bigger than what a factory one is there to suck air in, having two of these is way too much air. Having four of these is way too much air. So we're gonna step it back again and make it so that it's only sucking air from one of these, and it should literally change the way the car drives. Ask anyone that's driven the car, anyone that has ever had anything to do with it, they say there's zero throttle control and it is insanely snappy. It doesn't rev up nice and smooth. You get on the pedal and it's just straight to limiter. So we're gonna block off another one. We'll actually add a lot more structure too. You can see that, like, the one that came from Composite Specialty, solid. The one that was blocked when we had it done, very thin. So one of the biggest issues was, hang on, I'll get the torch again, was when we were under load, it would start to bow out, and then the actual butterfly would start to rub on it. So you can see up here where it was all scratching and rubbing on it. So theoretically, if that kept going, it could have split the carbon, cracked the carbon, put it straight into the blower, straight into the engine, and blown the engine up. So I'll push all of this out away from where it's like living now, and I'm going to use that to move it over. I may even see if it'll let me. Yeah, I'll have a play with it, see what it'll let me do. All right, so I've got my plan of attack now. So this is the panel that was to there. I've literally just broken it apart because it was starting to fail, so it wasn't too hard. Literally just gonna push it all the way over to here to meet there. Seal it along the top and bottom. A lot more epoxy. I'll literally cover in that crevice. I'll pour it in there and let it get nice and thick. I'm gonna make this super freaking thick. Cover it all in multiple layers of carbon and epoxy, and then it should be mint, and it should direct air directly down there and be awesome. I'm gonna re-epoxy this side because this side does get flimsy too. It was never quite as bad as this side, but yeah, I'll definitely be fixing all of that. And in case you can't see, I did just whack a number plate under the hat there, so anything that was falling in there was going straight to that instead of falling into the blower, which is just in case you were wondering. But I think I'm going to wrap it up there today because yeah, that's more than I was expecting to be doing. It's a nice mess in there, so I'm going to clean it up real nice. One more step to getting clickbait even better for what, 2.0, or would this be 3.0? I don't know, either way, but that's where I'm going to wrap it up today. I'm going to take the hat home, I'm going to start playing with it there, fix it all up and get it nice and mint. So that's where I'm going to wrap it up for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys liked seeing a little bit more of an in-depth look at taking things apart and looking at them a little bit deeper, seeing how things work. I'll catch you guys in the next one, which will be, man, I hope we get to dyno Tim's car very soon, real soon. I'm really keen for that. Engine, you know what I mean, Alrighty guys, catch you in the next one where we're gonna be ripping down more. The engine's already gonna be heading off to APM. They're coming to pick it up tomorrow, I think. And then we just have to wait for the new short motor with the iron block, throw some rods and pistons in it. Hope the heads aren't hurt on this engine. And it's Bob, your uncle. We're ready to go play again and hopefully turn it up a little bit. So, catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy, see you later, peace.
There's nothing that we got in common. I've been out grinding and hustling, investing this paper. Got tired of eating that ramen. All of my music be heat, I ain't missing a beat. I've been blessed with impeccable timing. Watch all them people who friendly, it turn into envy whenever they see